Hi, and welcome to my science video about compounds and mixtures. I found a website that kind of walked through a neat step-by-step, and I'll put it on my website so you can go to it and check it out yourself, but here's how it looks when you go through the demo.
Here is an atom. This one is an iron atom. Here are some more. And here is some sulfur. Now, when you bond two elements together, you can make new and wonderful compounds. Drag the elements together and see what happens.
So I'm going to grab it here. I guess you can't see me. There we go. I'm going to grab it and I'm going to drag sulfur together with iron and
That chemical reaction
bam!
created bonds that fuse the elements together. Just try and separate them. Go on, try it.
I'm pulling it. And we made a compound. Because they're attached
No, it's not going to work.
through a chemical bond.
Because we've created an entirely new compound. Iron sulfide, which is nothing like iron or sulfur. The only way to pull them apart
Keep
is
pulling
another
it.
chemical reaction.
So let's see if we can do another.
These things here are molecules. A bunch of atoms bonded together. This is an oxygen molecule. But you can also
That's
get
also an
molecules
element.
made of different kinds of atoms. We're about to see how.
Okay, so here's an element over here, which is a pure substance. Looks like O2. And over here is hydrogen, another pure element. And notice there's a nice chemical reaction happening here with the heat. We're going to put them together. Boom!
Explosive. That reaction created a lot of energy. It also gave us these molecules with one oxygen and two hydrogen atoms. See them? Hydrogen and oxygen were gases at
I'm in the way
room
again.
temperature, but bonded together,
There we go.
they become an entirely different compound, water.
Ooh, you knew that one.
This is a molecule
H2O.
of water. If there is no bonding, then elements and other substances just kind of mix together to form a mixture.
A mixture.
Use the fan to mix up the elements here.
So if they don't bond, they become a mixture. So they're not bonded together, they're just mixed.
Because they're not chemically joined, it's much
There was no
easier
heat.
to separate the elements in a mixture. Try and separate them now.
Oh, I can totally do it now, because they're not bonded together by a chemical reaction. Nice, so they didn't make a compound,
Actually,
they're a
it's not
mixture.
usually that easy. Atoms are really, really tiny, and you might have
Oh.
trillions of them.
Trillions, yeah, that could be challenging. Gotta get the last couple here. Bam! Separated it, because there wasn't any heat to make them bond.
Like in this jar. But there are some clever ways to pull them apart. First up is chromatography. This separates dissolved substances that have different colors, like inks and plant dyes. Go ahead and dip the paper. Some of the dyes have traveled further up the paper. These are the ones that dissolve more
They're
easily.
so cool.
Next, we have filtration. A useful technique. The filter catches the sand, but the water passes through.
Oh,
They are
so you're
now
separating
officially
them.
separated.
the
This
mixtures.
is an old one, but a good one. It's called distillation. Heat this salt water.
Ah,
Try to
because
extract
water,
water.
salt doesn't evaporate, because I have a saltwater
Water
pool.
heat changes the water into vapor.
You can't get the salt out without draining it.
And then cooling turns the vapor back into pure water at the other end.
So the water's going
Delicious and
here.
fresh tasting.
Water, 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 leaving the salt in there.
How about time for a
Nice.
recap? Atoms that are bonded together are known as molecules. Atoms of most elements can join together to make molecules.
So those are it's an element right there.
Like oxygen. Compounds are made when two or more different elements are
Two
chemically
elements.
bonded together. Chemical
Compounds.
reactions cause energy changes. The compounds created are new substances with different properties to the original elements. Mixtures are mixtures. Substances
They're
that are
not
not
joined.
chemically joined and can be separated with different techniques. Okay, we've covered the basics. Let's see how well you really know your mixtures and your compounds. Question 1. How many different types of atoms are there in an element?
In an element?
B, 2, C.
How many different types of atoms are in an element? I'm gonna go with this one. Okay, it's this one.
Question 2. How many different elements are there in a compound? A, 1.
Ooh.
B,
Is it
always
always 2?
C,
Or 2 or
2
more?
or more.
I don't like the word always. Always makes me think it's not right. Let's go with 2 or more. Nailed it!
Question 3.
Okay.
Is water an element, compound, or mixture?
Water is not an element.
Compound. C,
It's
mixture.
got water and hydrogen. I would say it's a mixture, but there's chemical bonding, so I think it's a compound, because it chemically bonds. Yes! Nailed another one. Hey, by the way, this is my first time doing this quiz. Which method is usually used to separate many different colored substance? Oh, it was the paper thing! Oh, was that filtration or cryptograph? Oh, I think it was cryptography. Yes, okay.
Question 5. The correct order for obtaining salt from a mixture of sand and salt is A. Add water, filter, then evaporate. B. Evaporate, filter, then add water.
Oh my gosh.
C. Filter, evaporate, then add water.
You're trying to get sand and salt. So sand, they said you would filter out. And then salt, they said you would evaporate out. Oh, but you're trying to separate sand and salt, so you have to add water first. That doesn't say there's any water there. So the only one that could be right is add water first, then filter, then evaporate. Oh, I hope I got this, because it just says it's sand and salt. It doesn't say there's water. You can't evaporate something if there's not water first. Water has to be first. Yeah.
Question 6.
Alright, one more to go.
Pure water can be separated from inky water by simple distillation because A. The ink disappears. B. Ink evaporates, leaving the water behind. C. Water evaporates, leaving the ink particles behind.
Water evaporates. I know it does. We just saw the demonstration where water went out the tube, it came down, but we separated it from salt. Does it work for ink? Does ink disappears? Pure water can be separated from inky water by simple distillation. Distillation, I think, was that evaporation process. Let's go with this. Water evaporating, leaving ink particles behind.
Full marks. Very impressive.
Oh, very impressive. Okay, well, that was our video about compounds and mixtures. Your big takeaway from this is making sure you're understanding that compounds have been chemically bonded together through some sort of process like heat, and your mixtures are just stirred up. So if they just put the sand and the salt together, it's just a mixture. But when you actually add heat with oxygen and hydrogen, making it water, then you have a compound. Awesome.